It's time to change the conversation about mental health.
When you know something is wrong.
When you feel alone.
When you can't explain what hurts.
When every day is a struggle.
When you can't ask for help.
When your friend or family member seems fine on the outside,
but hurts on the inside.
Sometimes I feel as though I'm the only one that feels. But I know that's not true.
We can change.
We can change.
We can change.
We can make a difference.
There's power in our difference.
We can support each other.
We can fight stigma.
We say it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay to have a mental health condition.
We all want to feel heard.
To find hope.
And to live in a world without stigma.
Without discrimination.
And we are a force to be reckoned with.
I am not what happened to me.
I am how I overcame it.
Stand with us.
And discrimination in mental health.
You can see the person, not the condition.
You can build understanding.
You can play your part.
The conversation changes with me.
With me.
With me.
We are WellBeings.
We are all WellBeings.
Day is long and the night is yours alone. When you're sure you've had enough of this life, hang on. Don't let yourself go, 'cause everybody cries and everybody hurts sometimes. Sometimes everything is wrong. It's time to sing along. When your day is night, hold on, hold on. If you feel like letting go, hold on. If you feel like letting go, hold on. If you feel like letting go.
WETA, with a coalition of partners, welcomes you to the WellBeings Youth Mental Health Project. Hi, I'm Bill Pullman, and I'm honored to be with you as we launch this national campaign from public media. WellBeings is a groundbreaking project at a very important point in time. Mental illness disproportionately affects our young people and the most disadvantaged populations among us. The growing mental health movement has set the stage for dramatic change, to raise awareness, to reduce stigma, to focus on prevention and early intervention, and the promise of more research for new treatments. Together, we can bring mental illness and discrimination out of the shadows, and it's not a day too soon. So thank you for being here today.
The signature documentary series in the WellBeings campaign is Ken Burns Presents Hiding in Plain Sight, Our Mental Health Crisis. Produced and directed by Ewers Brothers Productions and written by David Blistine, the film will explore, through lived experiences, the youth mental health crisis in our country. Currently in production, this 4-hour documentary film is slated to air on PBS stations in spring 2022.
WellBeings.org and hashtag WellBeings will be adding content every week over the 2 years, including Brave Teens, where teen storytellers go on the record about their mental health journeys.
And Brave High, a digital feature-length documentary where students in high school productions share their mental health stories through spoken word, music, and dance without fear, shame, or stigma.
Out of the Dark, a short-form digital series that will profile lives transformed by mental health challenges, highlighting the power of difference.
PBS NewsHour's student reporting labs engage high school journalism students as correspondents that report on youth mental health from more than 150 high schools across 46 states.
Thank you for joining us for PBS Utah's live stream event as part of the National PBS WellBeings Tour on Youth Mental Health. My name is Laura Durham, and I'll be your guide throughout this event. You'll see me pop up to introduce some of the segments we'll be watching together. But first, I thought you should know that WellBeings was created by WETA, the public media station based in Washington, D.C., in partnership with member stations such as PBS Utah, based on the campus of the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. Our thanks to the many national partners and those right here in Utah. The WellBeings campaign addresses the critical health needs in America through broadcast programs, original digital content, and local events such as this one. The campaign begins with the Youth Mental Health Project, amplifying voices to create a national conversation, raise awareness, address stigma, and encourage compassion. You are here because you understand or are trying to understand a current crisis with our young people who face mental health challenges each day. Today, we're focusing on Utah's refugee youth and mental health. Utah has welcomed over 60,000 refugees with over 30 languages spoken in Salt Lake City schools. You can imagine the unique challenges refugee youth face when you think about the trauma they come from and then transitions they face in a new country. Tonight, you will see candid conversations with 4 incredible teenagers right here in Salt Lake City, who participated in an art workshop with our local programming partner, Healthy F.I.T. This remarkable organization filmed a documentary that we will premiere tonight, especially for you, our audience for the WellBeings Tour Stop. Together, we'll watch these 4 young individuals embark on a welcome exploration into their mental health as they create artwork based on how they see themselves and how they think others see them. We'll watch the documentary in 3 5-minute segments, followed by a short discussion with the workshop participants. Join us for this first segment as we're introduced to Aziza, Wala, Mahmoud, and Rock. As you're watching, feel free to join the discussion at the WellBeings Facebook page and facebook.com/PBS Utah. We'd love to read your comments and questions. Let's take a look at this first segment of the documentary.
actually wanted to just quickly touch on like microaggression. I feel like as a person of color, we constantly have to decide like, do I want to fight this battle? Like so many times in one day, you're like, if I try to fight this battle, it's gonna take so much of my energy. Like, do I want to put my energy here? But it's not a battle we should have to fight to begin with as humans. Like, there's never like a spotlight, a positive spotlight for people like us.
Refugees are just humans like me and you. They're people at their core, and the thing that is unique to them is that they have had to flee their country and not by their own choice. They've been forced out of their country for one reason or another, and because of that whole experience, it really presents them with challenges in mental health. So I think there needs to be extra sensitivity towards individuals that have experienced that sort of migration, persecution, trauma experiences in their life, because they're going through a lot. For a refugee, trauma is central to their migration process. It's only after a long time, after resettlement into a new country, where maybe they have a chance to finally address that trauma.
I was thinking more of interview type of thingy.
So like labels and then stick them like on your face. Someone stick them on the face.
I think mine is along the line of mental health, where we are like talking about how we're supposed to be dealing with things.
My name is Ragduka Bolengi. I've been here for 10 years, I guess. I came here because there was a war in my country, so that's why I moved here. The thing I care most, I care about family, because family is important. I like to play a video game and hang out with my friends. I mean, I can still do that, but I can't really do that much because we are in we have COVID, so yeah.
My name is Wala, and I'm actually studying psychology with the hopes of becoming a therapist one day. I think the most, I really care about, it's the life of children, maybe just people who live in dangerous places and war, because children really deserve happiness and life. No child should be part of war or poverty or any place that they don't deserve.
I'm Aziza.
And who's that?
Aziza's me. I am Miss Africa Utah 2020 second runner-up. I am learning more about myself. Every year is different. A lot of things change for me every year, including my definition of perfect and what it means to be a woman and a woman of color and what it means to be a refugee. I'm just learning to be fluid and to go with the flow. And I find that I enjoy myself and life a lot more when I go with the flow.
Who are you?
Human being. Just kidding. I'm Mahmoud Ahmad, and I'm coming from a very different background, I should say. My family is brown, so there's a thing in brown families. You're either a doctor or an engineer or disappointment, just like me. I'm trying to study computer science. It's something that I'm really into. I'm still trying to find out what I love and what I want to do in the future. I'm very shy at the beginning, and I'm pretty wild after I get to know people. That's it.
My name is Daoud Saleh, and I am a refugee from Iraq. I came to the United States in 2016. I'm an ambassador for Global Peace Chain, and also I am the author of Walking Alone.
Hey, I'm Mahmoud Ahmad, and I'm from Afghanistan.
My name is Wala, and I'm from Syria.
Hi, my name is Rock. I'm from Congo, Brazzaville, and yeah.
Hello, my name is Aziza Hussein. I'm from Kenya.
I'm really excited to be here with these young people to hear their stories and to see their work. Oh, I wish I would have known about this project before. I would like to do something like this. Can you please tell us more about this project?
When it comes to mental health and like advocating to it, it's really important to me because it's part of my passion. Like studying psychology and doing like therapy in the future, hopefully, it's part of who I am. I think it's really important, especially now in days in social media, and we see so much going on with COVID as well. So it's very important to advocate about it and be part of a project like that.
I love cinematography and I love film. It was just an experience, you know, and also me being as a refugee and to show what we feel, you know.
I like talking about mental health, mental health challenges, and the importance of sharing our stories. And this project gives me the opportunity to do just that.
So me being interested in film, it started while I was a kid. I just loved movies. I used to stay, you know, till 2 a.m. to watch a movie, whatever. And coming here, I didn't know English, and I started watching more movies, which helped me on my English, and I found it really interesting. The storytelling, sometimes it could change a person's life.
Since I was a kid, I always wanted to be doctor. I loved to learn about the body and how it works. But when I started working in the hospital, I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy being around patients and seeing, just didn't like the environment, and I didn't see myself doing it for a very long time. So when I started working there, I met a therapist, and he let me be in the office for one session, and I really enjoyed being there and hearing the stories and just listening their stories in their darkest times. I think that's very important to me. That's where and I took my first psychology class, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's very interesting to learn about the brain and how it works. So, yeah, that's where it started.
It could be very challenging to be a refugee. Can you please share with us some of those challenges that you went through?
When I first came here, it was really hard for me, and I had like hard time at school, and it was hard for me to learn different language because I speak French, and it was really hard to learn English. I watched like videos like on YouTube, cartoons, and like English words and stuff. And also it was hard for my mom because she had to like pay the house and stuff, and like helping my sister and stuff with school. So it was really hard for me and stuff. Yeah.
I believe that everybody should be accepted as they are, but I don't think we will ever reach there. But I do hope that we reach a level where we embrace differences a lot more than we do right now. For me, I find it challenging to be a woman of color, a refugee, and like a Muslim, and a person who struggles with multiple mental health challenges, because I find that it is hard to come as I am. Every space that I go into wants me to come as one specific thing, whether that is like space where refugees are welcome, where I have to come solely as a refugee, or like spaces where people who are college graduates, I have to come solely as a college graduate and can't come as a person, like as a refugee, and also as a person who has all these different struggles, but they're all interconnected, and they all make the whole person that I am.
How do you feel about this project and why it's important? Why this project is so important for you? What's your thoughts and what's your goal behind being part of this project?
Yes, everyone have a story, I think, and we all learn from other people's stories. This is how the human came to be today, right? We will never, I think this part of being human is we learn from other people's stories, and sharing my story, I hope people can learn.
It is definitely an opportunity in here, but the background that you're coming from, it can impact you a lot, you know, sometimes the family, and sometimes thinking, I mean, we have to start from zero and making, the thought of making money, like is a huge impact. You don't want to go after what you love. Like I love film, and I know it doesn't have money until you make it at some point, you know, and you have to support your family at the meantime that you're going for your passion, and it impacts you a lot. Like I'm studying computer science, and I don't know why, you know, just because it's a big thing right now, and that I could probably make something, help my family at the same time, do my passion at the side hustle.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really important to me. As I said before, it's a subject that I really care about, and I love sharing my story. Sharing our stories empower us, so I love it.
What's your message to other refugees who have been through struggles and who are looking for a better life, better future in this country? What's your message to them?
I think my message is like, first of all, you can be anything, and you can learn by watching this video. And I know it's hard. I know we have COVID and stuff. I know it's difficult. So once people start watch this video, they will learn that now you can be anything you want to be. So yeah.
My message is learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, because as a refugee, you're going to be the first in many spaces, and the first in experimenting with many things. And when you learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, it allows you to enjoy the things that you're doing. For me, I feel like when I became like comfortable with the uncomfortable, and like just kind of forcing me to be in situations that weren't, because naturally I'm a very introvert person. Like if I allowed myself to be that entirely, I would never leave my room. So, and I would be missing so many different opportunities to grow and to become this well-rounded person. So my advice would be, it's okay to be scared, but do it anyways.
Now that we've met Mahmoud, Rock, Walla, and Aziza, we can see the unique challenges they're facing. Before we learn more about the workshop they participated in, we want you to consider sharing your story with the WellBeings Story Wall. Let's take a look at how you can be part of the conversation. After that, we will continue with part 2 of the documentary.
The We Are WellBeings Story Wall is a central part of the wellbeings.org website, social media platform, and the WellBeings National Tour. We are asking the public of all ages to submit personal reflections, videos, photos, and short stories to offer hope, to foster understanding, to build community, and break down stigma.
What does being well mean to you? What is the one thing you wish people knew about mental health? What is your passion? What's your story?
video can easily be submitted via social media using the hashtag #WellBeings or emailed to info@wellbeings.org.
Stories can also be submitted by uploading to Dropbox and live at WellBeings Tour events. The We Are WellBeings Story Wall is made possible through generous support provided by WellBeings Youth Mental Health Project founding corporate sponsor Otska and WellBeings media partner People.
Post-traumatic stress disorder usually occurs after one experiences, of course, a traumatic event. Thereafter, they experience a lot of stress and other symptoms that can continue on for a full lifetime. I think the difficult and challenging part about any mental health diagnosis or PTSD in general is that it presents differently in each person. In general, it's a heightened sort of anxiety, stress that can have accompaniment with depression and other general mental health symptoms, but it really creates challenges in daily living. The stigma is definitely something very real, and it's definitely something that holds people back from wanting to talk about or address any mental health challenges that they have.
For my project, I called it "Are You Sure?", which is a question I get a lot. With it, I was trying to portray all the different assumptions that people have about me. When they get to know a little bit about me, they assume that they know everything about me. Like, I would say I'm from Kenya, but I've been here for 17 years, so I'm also from here. But people would be in a rush to cut me off on the last part, to be like, "Oh yeah, you're from Kenya. Okay, that makes sense." They'd be like, "No, I'm also from here."
Well, in my country where I grew up, we never talked about mental health. No one talked about it. So it was really hard when I came here, and then I struggled with it. Now it's probably more open than before just because of social media, but it still needs so much. We need so much resources, ways to talk about it, and then just educate them. So for my project, I decided to do like words represent like labels that we hear all the time, not only about like mental health, but also in our everyday lives, like weird or ugly. And I decided to put them on my face just because we hear them all the time. We hear labels, especially about mental health. I think society has associated labels with just weakness and embarrassment, which is not the truth. So I decided to put them on my face and represent them and just put human, because we're all human, we're all the same. We have brains, we have hands, we think sometimes. So that's why I decided to do this project.
So I made the labels and I put them in the shape of a star. In the middle of the night, the stars are what like brights up everything. So the way that I use stars in my life is just realizing that even though people have all these assumptions that make me very, very frustrated, I also use those to make me a better person, so that I try to be more compassionate towards others and try not to have assumption towards others.
Okay. We have a drop, like a little dropper. If you want little drops, bloop, 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 bloop. Let's see what that looks like. You can take a brush, Jackson Pollock it, and throw the brush at it. We got the sponge.
Okay, I'll do the drop and the sponge.
Drop and the sponge. Okay.
Oh, babe, thank you. And the struggle is real. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
So the part where I splatter the paint, that signifies me releasing my frustration, just because when people make those assumptions during that time when I'm interacting with them, like, I feel very frustrated on the inside, but I can't express that on the outside because I feel like that gives people more of like, oh, that's what a black person is like. Oh, that's what a Muslim is like. And I don't want to give people, I don't want to make people's assumptions real. Like, I don't want to portray people's assumptions.
After watching this video, I feel that it impacted me personally, and I feel that how it's empowering to share your story. So how do you feel about sharing your story, and what your message to those people who are scared or who are struggling to share their stories?
Just being open about it and talk about your experience. You should not be scared of talking about your struggles. And the people who put labels on you, they should be ashamed of themselves, I think, because labels are not good. We all human, we all have brain, body, blood, so we should not be putting labels on people, you know? I think that's a big message I wanted to share with it.
So I stutter sometime, and I'm a stutterer. You know, for a while I tried to keep it for myself. I just kind of feel ashamed of it, and then and then eventually I realized, you know, it's just something that I have, and I have to deal with it, and there is nothing wrong with it. And when I accept it, I got better, you know. As long as you want to keep it, it just you keep hating yourself. You're like, the heck is wrong with me, you know, like what is going on? And mental health is not something that anyone else could understand until you have it. No one else can understand why I stutter, you know, the reason behind it. The same way I cannot understand anyone else who has depression or anxiety or whatever.
You can do anything. Like you can change the world, like by doing like different projects and stuff, and you can go out there and help people who are suffering, I guess.
When you talk about it, you realize you're not alone in this world with this problem, and you're not the only one who's dealing with it, right? And then you realize how there's a lot of people like you, you know, and then you start feeling good about yourself, and you start accepting yourself. You're like, you know, it's cool, something that I have and I should be proud of. I mean, not anyone can deal with it.
When you talk about things, it makes them less scary. When you keep them bottled up, it makes them feel very, very scary. It makes you feel like you're the only person going through them. And I spent many years of my life feeling like I was the only one that was going through all these different challenges, especially as a refugee. We don't talk about it in my household. Many refugee households don't talk about it. And it seemed as like something that you're making it up, or like it's not real. You could just pretend to be happy and you'll be fine. But I'm here to say that that's not real. That's not true. And it's important to allow yourself to feel those things and to find somebody that you trust that you can talk to. It took me a really long time to find somebody I can talk to. Keep trying until you find someone.
Aziza, you shared a very personal story. How do you feel about it right now?
So I answered on an earlier clip about mental health challenge, that the first time that I really struggled with mental health was at the age of 13. And it was the first time that I attempted suicide.
Okay, let's watch this part of your video.
For me, this topic hits home because I struggle with multiple mental health illnesses and challenges, and I feel like from the age of 13 I've struggled with it,
and because there's such a strong stigma around it, I was not able to talk about it. So I was forced to deal with it on my own, and I was not equipped and I did not have the tools. It put me in a very, very dark place where I attempted suicide 8 times before the age of 20. And that should not have been my reality, and that should not be anybody's reality. So I want to share my story to let people know that it's okay to talk about this, that we should be all talking about this.
What is so important about talking about mental health?
Where I grew up, no one talks about mental health, and it's something that you should be ashamed of if you talk about it. So where I think I'm really passionate about, because I really want to help people, especially because if you think about it, like different cultures are different in like psychology and how they understand it from different backgrounds, you know? So coming from that, I can understand people from my culture as well, from like where I'm studying right now, the American culture as well. So it's really important to me, and I think I will probably help, hopefully, especially children. I'm really passionate about that.
I still struggle with a lot of mental health issues. In this moment in my life, I have learned the importance of taking care of myself, and sometimes that means ignoring the advice of others that may not understand what you're going through, they may give you advice that don't work for you. I have gotten many advice that are like, oh, just go for a walk, you'll be fine. Although those are good advices, they don't always work in certain like situations, and sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is ignore those advice at those specific times, and like I said, find someone that you can connect with and keep trying until you find someone. Is very important.
First of all, like it's not a shame to talk about that. Like I struggle with that. Everyone struggle with that, because when I came to America, after 3 years, I lost my dad. Like I was like 13, and it really affected me, like with school and stuff. And sorry, yeah. So and it was hard for my mom, and we had to like struggle a lot, and I didn't have no one to help my mom and stuff.
I was really attached and moved about your story. Can you please tell us more and how you feel right now?
I believe in the power of stories. I believe that stories hold so much, way more power than we give them. They provide us with insights and information, and also they give us glimpses of the life of those individuals. For me, I would rather have another 13-year-old watch my story and know the struggle that I've been through, and realize that they're not alone in their thoughts and their feelings, and have them like get the help that they need, and have them find someone to talk to way earlier on than spend the next 5 years repeating that experience until they finally find someone to listen to them.
It's important because everyone struggles with mental health. Either we go to jobs, we get frustrated, we come home, we get sad, or get anxiety every day, we go to work sometimes. So everybody struggles with mental health, and that's why it's important to talk about it. It's important to share our stories, to tell people that you're not alone in this, because I went through this too, you know?
In this second segment, we've learned how these workshop participants have been dealing with their challenges and how hard it can be to manage on your own. WellBeings and PBS Utah have put together a guide as a reference to resources that exist right here in Utah, as well as national resources that are available to help you or someone you care about who might be facing a mental health challenge and could use some support. This mental health resource toolkit can be found at wellbeings.org/PBS Utah. Now, let's watch that final segment of our documentary.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. I enjoy making this video because I learned from it. I find it easy to just talk, then write it. It is important because as refugee, it's hard because you get judged. I just wanted to look like something that I experienced as a black man. The first color is red. It represents like how people see you and stuff. And then I just use natural color to show how it really is. And then the beginning is black and white because people see the real black and white. When people see me, they don't see me. They see like a bad person. People think that black people are scary because I'm a black man and because I'm a refugee. People don't trust me. People think that I'm a liar and a bad man. People judge me to be many things I'm not. Like, I understand that police are doing their job, but like they should not be shooting like how they're shooting black people for no reason. That's not fair to us. Our community needs to be better. They should treat like everyone like equally. It affects everyone. You should not be afraid of me. I should not be afraid for my life. When you look at me, I want you to see me. When I talk, I want you to hear me. I'm a good person. I'm trying to do my best, and that should be enough.
I just want to talk about the stress and the ways you could take that stress out. Going into the wild is one of them, and that's what I do most of the time. So that's why I interviewed a friend of ours who owns a land, and he goes there, he talks with his goats, and he has his own ways of taking his stress out. Sometimes all you need to do is go into the wild, take a look at other animals, how they're living. It's like they don't worry about nothing. All they do is just eat and drink. You give them that and they're just living their life as you should.
I call myself as Atullah. I did up to bachelor, and after that I just started in my living life, working and working and working. I started this farm for any meaning, finance-wise, spiritual-wise, and stress-wise. Anything in the city, I dump it in the farm with the goat and sheep. Sometime while I'm alone here, I come and talk to the sheep and goat, they talk to me. I'm trying to learn their language, but still I'm in a first grade students for the language of goat and sheep. Normally what we do, we pour corn on the ground and lay. The goats comes over and eat them, and they give them massage. And at the same time they give love. And that two things is coming in the same time. Massage and love from the goats and the sheep. They're harmless animal. You take that luggage of stress from your brain and from your shoulder to the goat and sheep and share it. You get your release and calm. Since it's cold, we put a few pallets in the fire and sit around it. We feel we are away from all that whole week with the stress, full-time, 2 double job working, getting released in about probably like 45 an hour of the time that we are here. Honestly, we pray the one who created this sky and this land. So we just say thanks that we have the chance to be getting access to the situation. Or every single of people think I'm crazy doing these things, but they don't. They are crazy, they are sick, but they don't know. Once they are coming here, they never stop coming. They keep coming.
I would just say that mental health is a big issue for everybody, and that we as a community need to be better at talking openly about it and being open with each other about it, so that youth, newcomers to our community, anybody can feel more open about talking about what they're facing without the stigma, without judgment, with the opportunity to get the help that they need to recover and overcome what they've experienced.
It's not talked about enough, especially in schools. I think in high schools, people struggle with, especially teenagers in this age, they already struggle with hormones and other things.
I believe it's very important to talk about mental health for all age groups, but especially for younger groups. Statistically, like suicide rates are very, very high between the ages of 15 and 24. And I feel like if we talk more about mental health, we can end the stigma around it, and we can provide help for people that need it early on.
We are fortunate to have Dawood Saleh, author of Walking Alone, a Yazidi genocide survivor and an ambassador for the Global Peace Chain, here with us this evening. You've seen him talking to our workshop participants. Now he's here live to moderate a discussion with Brian Higgins, creative director and founder of Healthy F.I.T, and Peter Frost, a therapist and social worker working with refugees.
Welcome everyone to Utah's Refugee, Youth and Mental Health Welcome Exploration. This is Dawood Saleh, and I will be hosting this part Q&A for interactive and important discussion with my two guests. I have with me tonight Brian Higgins, the founder and creative director for Healthy F.I.T, and I also have Peter Frost, the director of youth and family services at the Refugee and Immigrant Center, Asian Association of Utah. Welcome, Brian and Peter, and thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you. Tonight we have some questions to ask my guests, and we'll also, for our live audience, if you have any question, please leave it in a comment for our guests. Let's start with Peter. I know that you have dedicated your professional life to help others. Can you tell us why you dedicated your life to help others, and especially refugees?
Sure. So I think the first and most important thing for me is the relationship aspect. Relationship with others to me is one of the most important things in life. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out the relationship with myself that I have with myself, and I enjoy helping others, especially youth, figuring out that relationships they have with themselves and with others around them. So I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Wonderful. As you build this relationship, we all know that the mental health for refugees is real. There have been a lot of struggles, trauma. Can you tell us what's unique about the mental health needs of refugee youth?
Yeah, I think when you think about mental health in general, it can already get fairly complex. But then if you add in the experiences that refugee youth have faced with having to flee a home country because of some sort of fear, persecution, coming to a completely new country, learning a new language, all of these sort of factors make it very complex for refugee youth.
Thank you. If you go to Brian, my first question for you, Brian, is the same question that I asked Peter, why you have dedicated your professional life to help others, and especially refugees.
Well, it's a great question, and I find a lot of people that get involved with mental health, it's from personal experience. You know, I've had my difficulties as a lot of people have, and you know, I've found recovery in different ways, and I like to help others. You know, by helping others, it helps me, and it sort of shows people that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and maybe that they can get there if they follow along in the inspiring path.
Wonderful. If I want to add to that, Brian, mental health is an issue for everybody, not just refugees. Can you tell us about like some tips like we could that we could use to help some friends who are experiencing some mental health issues?
Yep. Well, you know, mental health affects 1 in 5 people in this day and age. So more than likely, you're going to have a friend or a family member that is suffering, and maybe they're suffering alone, or maybe they're more outward about their depression or their anxiety. So the best thing that we can do to help each other is to really listen, and see if anybody if anybody seems different. You know, you might want to try to find out why, and also if you feel different yourself, you can always ask for help. So that's really what it is. It's you know, being a good community and understanding that there is no shame in asking for help.
Great. Peter, I want to go back to you. And as we hear these stories from young refugees, how did you feel about them? And any that resonated with you in particular from those stories that we just heard?
Yeah, so I think the two biggest words that come to my mind is resilience and courage. These kids are incredibly courageous and very resilient, and they've been through a lot. I really connected a lot with what Aziza was saying about sort of this idea of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and kind of when you are in that situation where you know you need to act and you're feeling hesitant to do so, to just act, to talk to somebody, to reach out to somebody, to be there for somebody else, to be there for yourself.
Great. And same thing with me as I was like interviewing these young people. I feel as a refugee also was attached and also empowered by these stories. Brian, at this moment, the way of living is changing, especially for this current pandemic. During this current pandemic, many people are facing like mental health, or maybe they are facing mental health issues for the first time. Uh, how can we help people to help themselves in this like hard time at this moment?
Yeah, for sure. It is a very interesting time that we're all living through. There's a lot of difficulties with people maybe losing their employment, the isolation of having to stay inside, not being able to see friends. So we are really missing that community aspect that we've all gotten used to. So part of that, you know, some people could be experiencing depression or anxiety, and this may be the first time that they're genuinely experiencing some form of mental health. And they may be having that aspect with the stigma of that they can't, you know, express themselves and get the help that they need. So what we can do as a community with your friends or your family is there's a thing called LEAP, and it stands for, you know, listen, engage, action, and partner. So again, if you feel that one of your friends or your family member is maybe being distant or just not being themselves, what you want to do is listen to them, engage with them, you know, understand that their reality is what is true to them. Then you want to maybe try to create an action plan, and that could be, you know, finding a therapist, or there's many different aspects out there. There's all the different texting apps. Actually, Safe UT is a wonderful one for the youth of Utah. It's a free texting app where you can get 24-hour access to a therapist. So you just text, and then you want to partner with somebody. So that's again showing them that you are an ally and you're going to help them through the issues that they're experiencing.
Great. Brian is like
although like we are now focusing on the like refugee experiences going to mental health issues. Mental health is something that crosses all the borders and it could affect everyone. Uh, is this something that we could use to unite us rather than divide us at this moment, especially during this pandemic? Do you think that it's just bringing us together rather than dividing us?
For sure. This is something that is universal. That really does affect everybody. As I mentioned earlier on, like 1 in 5 people suffer from a mental health issue. So that means you do most likely know somebody. So in the end, you have got direct experience with that. And mental health, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, all of these other aspects can affect everyone from the top of society, the most wealthy people, all the way down to the homeless people. So it does connect us. And as a society and as a community, we really need to understand that it is nothing to be ashamed of. The stigma around it about getting help can only make things worse. So it is a level playing field. Just like the COVID issues is a level playing field. It is connected everybody across the world in exactly the same way. So I really do think the best way forward is to, again, listen to people, help people say the two hardest questions is I don't know and I need help. And if we can listen and we can engage and we can action and we can partner, everyone can move forward and keep pushing along and break the stigma. Because it really is a terrible statistic that one of the leading causes of death for young people is suicide, and that is it's a terrible thing that doesn't need to happen. So again, just listen to your friends. If someone seems different, find out why, and if you feel different, ask for help.
Great. Do you think that it like this kind of events or this kind of project will help the refugees who also came from different backgrounds, different cultures? Maybe for some people, it's hard even to talk about. Do you think that this kind of event will help them to share their stories, to talk more, and to be more open about what the challenges they are going through?
Yep, for sure. Because again, if it's important for us to, shine our lights, show that recovery is possible and show that there is success. And whatever success means to different people is a different scale. But being able to tell our stories and stand up and, again, shine the spotlight in the shadows can really help people that are maybe still in the darkness and see that there is a way forward.
Great. Peter, from your experience working with refugees at the Asian Association of Utah, what are some alternatives form of treatment that could be utilized in mental health rather than the traditional ones?
So I think Brian mentioned one of them is this Safe UT app, especially for youth. They can get access to this through their schools and use that app as a way to ask questions and ask for help, especially in a mental health situation. I think there's been a big movement in reducing barriers for youth and anyone in general to get help. So I think this is a great alternative way for students and youth to feel safe in asking for help for a mental health issue that they might experience. And in general, a lot of mental health treatment and therapy is moving towards an online forum, especially during the pandemic. So you might feel a little bit more comfortable hopping on a Zoom call with a therapist or a professional to talk than you would going in person. So I think, again, the reduction in barriers is sort of an advancement or an alternative way of treatment that is advancing pretty quickly right now.
Great. You have mentioned in the video that it might be like for refugees after they get settled in a new country, it might be easier for them to address their struggles, the trauma they have been through. Do you feel that the refugees are now more likely addressing those struggles, or they're adding with the new culture, new language, and getting adapted to everything?
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit of both. In a sense, they're reaching a different level of stability that allows them to maybe address some mental health challenges. But you're right, at the same time, it's a new set of challenges with learning a new language and figuring out the systems that they are now facing here in the United States. But here in Utah, we are giving a chance for all refugees that arrive here to be screened in terms of mental health. And if that screening shows that some extra assistance is needed, then they're offered that assistance, and hopefully that presents a pathway for them to get additional assistance from there.
Thank you. Brian, my final question to you. Me as a refugee, I have found it as a struggle to tell my story, to share my story. Do you feel that the media is neglecting the refugees when it comes to tell about their struggle, their stories, unlikely when it comes to talking about some negative issue against the refugees? Do you think that the media is neglecting the refugees?
Well, I wouldn't let that stop you from telling your story. You know, that's the important thing is if you want to tell your story and everyone's got a voice, there's going to be an audience to listen to that. We are living in a wonderful world where, as we can say, we're on live across many different platforms tonight. Everyone has social media, and everyone has a voice, you know, right in their pocket, and they can tell their story that's going to inspire people all around the world. You know, not just today, but tomorrow or next year. You never know when someone's going to hear that message. And that's what you should focus on, not necessarily the negative connotations that other people may try to twist your message. You know, just speak your truth, tell your story, and people will listen, and people will be inspired, and people will move forward, and we'll all be better for it.
Wonderful. Peter, your final message from your experience to refugees and also to all the youth who are facing the mental health challenges right now?
So yeah, I think I would just echo what the youth from these documentaries have said. Don't be ashamed of telling your story, and don't be ashamed to ask for help. It's always better to ask for help. In all the instances in my personal life where I've said to somebody, hey, are you experiencing this? Do you ever get bummed out? There's always been, it's yes, you know, other people are experiencing this too, and you should talk about it. And just for youth in general, kind of like Brian was saying, help each other, you know, look out for each other, support each other. If somebody you see is acting differently, reach out to them and see if you can help them.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter and Brian, for joining me tonight. And thanks for the audience for watching us to give an important message about the challenges for refugees and for the youth in general. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dawood, Brian, and Peter, for those important thoughts and insights. Before we say goodbye to you this evening, we have a special preview of the upcoming Ken Burns documentary, Hiding in Plain Sight, which will air in the spring of 2022. This film looks at the experiences of young people living with mental health conditions with a focus on the importance of awareness and compassion. It shines a light on what life is like for these young people, as well as for the parents, teachers, friends, and healthcare providers in their lives. Let's take a look at that preview.
The only thing I know how to do is to share my own story and my own experience. I can't tell anyone what they can't see for themselves, but I can tell them what it was like for me, what happened to me, and what it's like now that I have recognized my own illness.
It was something in the back of my head, really. It was not something that I didn't really worry about.
My dad was an alcoholic, and just like the anxiety of him coming home at night.
It's a strange thing to look back on and think to myself, I really didn't care about anything at that point.
I remember a lot of nights where I would sit in my bed and cry, like for hours after hours.
I felt a lot of pain inside, and I couldn't explain that. I couldn't relay that to other people outside.
The feeling is like walking through, it's like being pulled down, being pulled into like quicksand.
It affects my daily life all day, every day.
To go to school, you know, you put on a face, a facade, you're happy, you're bubbly, and then you eat lunch alone in the bathroom.
I started to self-harm. I learned it in a book that I read.
I'm tired of the voices. I'm tired of everybody labeling me and saying that I'm crazy.
What happens to people with a serious mental illness is that, just like a serious cancer, it begins to metastasize. It turns into disability.
I remember waking up and being in the psych ward and being like, what am I doing here? I had a very high opinion of myself.
It gets complicated by substance abuse.
Drugs and alcohol worked very well for me because they took that anxiety that I had and that sense of isolation, and they eliminated those things.
Drugs and drinking, and that was kind of my excuse, like that outside excuse to match up that feeling of powerlessness inside.
When I finally did like start to think like, oh, I'm probably an addict, I was like, no, like you're just lying to yourself, you know?
When the suicide rate goes up, nobody even knows about it.
I still had a whole future that I had planned, you know. It's like I was planning the suicide, but at the same time, you know, I was making plans to like go out to the movies with my friends next week.
My life was gonna end one way, and that was being addicted to drugs, so why not start now?
Like I wasn't meant to be on this earth.
Long sleeves, no one knew what was on my wrist.
It was actually on social media. These boys were harassing me about something I did. I like couldn't deal with it anymore. Yeah, I actually went through with it. I actually tried to hurt myself.
Those are the moments where I have the best opportunity to plant a seed in someone else's mind. The fact of the matter is, if you don't show some vulnerability, if you don't speak honestly, then there's no truth. And if there's no truth, there's no connection.
It's taken me a very, very long time to even speak openly about it. I think there's a lot of pressure in being vulnerable, especially now with social media and everyone judging you. My roommates don't even know half of this stuff that I'm telling you guys now. And I'm nervous, like I'm kind of shaking inside to even talk about it. But if I can even reach 2 people from everything I say or this story, then I did my part in this world.
We don't understand how common it is. We don't understand how important it is to talk about it and be open about it. So this is the problem that we all deal with in secret. And the result is that we don't deal with it well.
On behalf of PBS Utah and the PBS WellBeings tour created by WETA, I'd like to thank our incredible panelists for being part of this event and the participants in the workshop. We truly appreciate you sharing your experiences and insights. Please remember to visit the WellBeings website at www.wellbeings.org/PBS Utah to download that free WellBeings Utah mental health toolkit that provides local and national support resources. While there, we'd appreciate you sharing your feedback on this event by filling out the survey on the website. Our discussion tonight is being recorded and will also be available on the website soon. Stay well, stay safe, check in with your friends. Have a good night.